So I want to talk a little bit more about why it can be hard for ministers to have good relationships. So one of the things that's hard is, when issues and topics of the world come up, people always want to know, how do we relate this back to faith? And so, we preach on it or speak out about it. And I am an ally and advocate on behalf of the LGBTQIA plus community. I have a lot of close friends who are women pastors, and me being a white straight man, I can bring a voice into spaces that at times they can't get into, and I can bring some authority to those spaces. And because I do that, some people obviously don't like me for it. And that's a choice I have to make. And that's a choice of mine, of how I see myself following the gospel by trying to love and advocate on behalf of other people. Because when I see Jesus do the same thing, always advocating, always speaking up on behalf of those that society pushes to the side, that society marginalizes. And so for me, it's the way that I most closely follow Jesus, by doing some of that work. But it has led to a breaking of friendships, and really close friendships, hurtful things to be said, and that sucks, and that really hurts. That people that I would hang out with at one time, and that we no longer even speak. So I really try now not to make really close friendships with people in the church. I moved to a new church, and I'm really want to set a boundary of not having those close friendships inside a church. And that way I can just maintain being their minister. But it leads to a second issue. So when I got ordained, I sent an ethical statement. The ethical statement says that if I leave the church, I wouldn't be in contact with my old church for like a year, the people and all that. That way the new minister can come in without any interference. And people come to me going, "Hey, Chad, man, the new minister's doing this," or, all that. Like, there's a break. And when you have that break, it's really, really hard, because those, for sometimes, like, those are the people you hang out with the most. And now for a year, I really can't be in contact with them. So you lose all those relationships, and that's again, that's a choice of what I have decided to do with my life and the call, but it doesn't make it any easier. And so a lot of times your only ability to make contact with people is in the outside world, but then they freak out. So yeah, it's just a real challenge at times. It's just a real challenge. And, and I'm sure people in all walks of life go through this too, but I see some of you in my comments, and really have experienced this. So man, I'm glad there's a community of us that endure this, and we can be support for each other. But it can be tough. It can be tough, but it is part of the role that we accept as ministers, and we know that. We just at times we create some connection with people, like anybody else.